I never really got along with my sister Amanda. At 18, she was a natural-born leader, bossy and self-assured. Meanwhile, at 14, I was the exact opposite, quiet, awkward, and content to fade into the background. She was the star of every family gathering, the queen of her social circles, while I spent most of my time playing video games or avoiding any situation that required me to speak up. That all changed the summer we visited Grandma's house. Grandma's old attic was Amanda's favorite spot, filled with dusty relics of a bygone era. I was reluctantly dragged along to help her rummage through trunks and boxes. I had just about had enough when Amanda opened a dusty, locked chest. Her eyes lit up as she pulled out an ornate golden crown, encrusted with sparkling jewels that seemed to glow in the dim light. "It's gorgeous," she breathed, holding it up like a treasure from a fairy tale.
"Yeah,
"Sure," I said, rolling my eyes. "Looks like a cheap Halloween prop." Amanda ignored me. She placed the crown on her head, adjusting it like she was posing for a royal portrait. The moment the crown settled, the attic seemed to shimmer with a strange, golden light. "Amanda, what?" I started, but my words froze in my throat. She began to grow. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, but there was no denying it. Her body stretched taller, her arms and legs lengthened, and her presence became overwhelming. By the time she stopped, Amanda was no longer just my older sister, she was a towering giantess, her head brushing against the attic ceiling, her booming laugh echoing around the room. "Well, little brother," she said, looking down at me with a mischievous grin. "Looks like I'm not just your big sister anymore. I'm your big sister." I stumbled backward, staring up at her in shock. "What's happening?" I yelled. "Oh, don't look so scared," Amanda said, reaching down to poke me playfully with a finger the size of a baseball bat. "This is amazing. I feel powerful. Like a queen." Before I could process what was happening, Amanda's massive hand waved over me, and I felt a tingling sensation rush through my body. When I opened my eyes, my surroundings seemed even larger than before. I had shrunk. I was barely a foot tall, standing in a puddle of my oversized clothes. "What did you do to me?" I squeaked, my voice higher and softer than before. Amanda crouched down, her massive face filling my vision. Her grin widened. "Oh, don't worry, little bro," she cooed. "Every queen needs a princess. And you, my dear, are going to be my sissy princess." Her fingers snapped, and a swirl of pink light enveloped me. My body tingled again, and when the light faded, I gasped at what I saw in the reflection of her giant phone screen. I was no longer myself. I wore a frilly pink gown, adorned with lace and ribbons. My hair had transformed into golden curls, cascading down my shoulders. A glittering tiara perched on my head. My features were softer, delicate, like a porcelain doll's. "No. Change me back." I yelled, tugging at the dress, but Amanda only laughed. "Not a chance, little princess. You look adorable," she said, scooping me up in her massive hands. Amanda's transformation wasn't just physical. She embraced her new role as a giantess queen with gusto, turning her bedroom into a royal court. She built me a dollhouse-sized castle on her desk, complete with tiny furniture, outfits, and accessories. I tried to protest, but Amanda wouldn't hear it. "You'll learn to love it," she said with a wink. "Every princess does." My days were filled with endless princess lessons. Amanda made me practice curtsying, twirling, and sipping tea from a tiny cup. She even crafted a squeaky high-pitched voice for me to use when addressing her. "Your Majesty," I muttered one afternoon, glaring up at her as she loomed over me. "This is ridiculous." Amanda leaned down, her massive face inches from mine. "Ridiculous," she said, feigning offense. "You're the cutest little princess I've ever seen. And you're going to be the best princess, whether you like it or not." As much as I hated it at first, I couldn't deny that Amanda's teasing wasn't entirely cruel. She was patient, even gentle, as she guided me through her whimsical games. When I tripped over my gown or fumbled with my tiara, she would laugh but quickly help me up. "You're getting better," she said one day, patting my tiny head with a finger. Maybe you were meant to be a princess after all. I hated how her words made me blush. Over time, I began to notice a shift in our dynamic. Amanda wasn't just bossing me around, she was protecting me. When our nosy neighbors came over, she made sure I was safely hidden away. When I felt overwhelmed, she would sit with me, her massive presence oddly comforting. One evening, as Amanda sat on her bed flipping through an old spell book she'd found alongside the crown, she gasped. "Listen to this," she said, reading aloud. "The crown bestows power and size upon its wearer, but its true purpose is to reveal the bonds of family and trust. Only those who care for each other will unlock its full potential." I frowned. What does that mean? Amanda looked down at me, her expression unusually serious. "It means this wasn't just about me being a queen, or you being my princess," she said softly. "It's about us, being a team." From that day on, Amanda's games took on a new tone. She wasn't just playing with me, she was teaching me to embrace my role, to find confidence in the unexpected. And I wasn't just her little sissy princess, I was her partner in this strange, magical adventure. As weeks turned into months, I realized I didn't mind being Amanda's princess. Sure, it was embarrassing, and her teasing still made me groan, but it was also fun in a way I never expected. Amanda, the giantess queen, and I, her tiny sissy princess, ruled over our little kingdom together. And for the first time, I felt like I truly belonged. Life in Amanda's kingdom became an odd mix of normalcy and whimsy. By day, she towered over me, guiding my every move in her royal games. By night, I would sneak out of my dollhouse castle to sit on her desk, gazing at the crown resting beside her bed. Something about the crown intrigued me. It wasn't just a random magical artifact, it had a purpose, and I was determined to find out what it was. One evening, while Amanda was brushing her hair and humming a tune, I spoke up. "Amanda," I said hesitantly, tugging at my gown. "What do you think the crown wants from us? You said it's about family and trust, right? But why the magic? Why the games?" She paused, setting her brush down and leaning closer to me, her enormous face thoughtful. "I think it's testing us," she said finally. "It's like a storybook. Every great queen and princess has to go through trials to prove they're worthy of the crown. Maybe this is ours." Her words stayed with me. The games didn't feel so silly anymore. They were lessons, preparing us for something bigger. One night, I awoke to a strange noise. The crown on Amanda's bedside table was glowing faintly, pulsing with an otherworldly light. I stepped out of my dollhouse and approached it cautiously. The moment I touched the base of the crown, a wave of warmth spread through me. A voice echoed in my mind, a soft, melodic whisper. "The kingdom of the crown needs its rulers. Your bond is the key to restoring balance." I stumbled backward, my tiny legs shaking. Before I could process what had happened, Amanda's booming voice startled me.